House of Commotion, Chapter 3. There is a saying that the truth does not need permission to arrive. It does not knock on the door. It does not wait for the right moment. It does not care if you are ready. The truth simply comes, and when it comes, it does not come gently. It comes like a storm. It comes like fire. It comes like the kind of wind that rips the roof off a house and leaves everything inside, exposed for the whole world to see. And for Jake, the storm had finally arrived. For 3 days after Shade discovered her father's American life on Facebook, she did not speak. She went about her daily routine like a ghost. She woke up. She bathed. She ate. She went to work. She came home. She went to bed. But she was not really there. Her body moved through the motions of living, but her mind was trapped inside that laptop screen, trapped inside those photos, trapped inside the image of her father, standing in front of a Christmas tree with another woman and 2 children she never knew existed. Every time she closed her eyes, she saw it. The matching Christmas sweaters, the decorated tree, the happy smiles, the perfect American family. And then she would see herself, sitting alone in a small room in Lagos, crying into a damp pillow, praying for a father who had already moved on. Folek noticed that something was wrong with Shade. A mother always knows when her child is carrying a burden. Shade was not eating well. She was not sleeping well. Her eyes were swollen and red every morning. She was avoiding conversation. She was avoiding eye contact. Folek asked her several times what was wrong, but Shade always gave the same answer. "Nothing, Mama, I am fine. Just tired from work." But Folek knew that was not the truth. She could feel it. The same way she could feel that something was wrong with Jake. The same way she could feel that the whispers at the market and the pitying eyes at church were not just idle gossip. Something was terribly wrong. And it was connected to everything. Connected to Jake, connected to America, connected to the secret that everyone seemed to know except her. On the 3rd night, Shade sat on her bed and stared at the wall for a long time. The folder on her laptop labeled "The Truth" sat waiting. The screenshots, the photos, the evidence, all of it was there, ready, waiting to be shown, waiting to destroy her mother's world. Shade had been going back and forth in her mind for 3 days. Should she tell Folek? Should she keep it to herself? Should she confront her father first? Every option led to pain. There was no path forward that did not involve someone getting hurt. But Shade realized something important that night. Her mother was already hurting. Folek was already living in pain. The pain of loneliness. The pain of waiting. The pain of defending a man who did not deserve to be defended. The only difference was that Folek's pain was based on ignorance. She was hurting while believing a lie. And Shade decided that her mother deserved better than that. Her mother deserved the truth. Even if the truth was ugly. Even if the truth was devastating. Even if the truth would break her heart into 1,000 pieces. At least it would be real. And real pain can be healed. But pain built on lies only grows deeper with time. Shade stood up from her bed. She picked up her laptop. She walked slowly to her mother's bedroom door. She stood there for a full minute, her hand on the door handle. Her heart beating so hard she could hear it in her ears, her eyes filling with tears before she even opened the door. She whispered a quiet prayer. "God, give me strength." And then she opened the door. Folek was sitting on her bed reading her Bible the way she did every night, before sleep. She looked up when Shade walked in and immediately knew something was serious. Shade's face was not the face of a daughter coming to say goodnight. It was the face of someone carrying a weight that was too heavy to carry alone. Folek closed her Bible slowly and said, "Shade, what is wrong?" And the way she said it was not a casual question. It was the voice of a mother who already knew that whatever was about to be said would change everything. Shade sat down on the bed beside her mother. She placed the laptop between them. She could not look at Folek's face. She kept her eyes on the laptop screen as she opened it. The screen came to life and the folder, labeled "The Truth," was right there on the desktop. Shade's hands were trembling as she opened the folder. Inside were dozens of screenshots, photos, posts, comments, captions, an entire digital archive of her father's American life spread out in front of them like a crime scene. Shade took a deep breath and said, "Mama, I found something. I found something about Daddy, and I need to show you. But before I show you, I need you to know that I love you, and I am sorry." Folek looked at her daughter with eyes that were already beginning to fill with dread. She said, "Show me." Shade clicked on the first screenshot. It was Jake's Facebook profile photo. Jake at an American barbecue, smiling broadly in a casual polo shirt. Folek stared at it. She recognized her husband's face immediately, but the setting was unfamiliar. The backyard, the barbecue grill, the American suburban background. It all looked so foreign, so different from the life she knew. She said, "Okay, that is your father. What about it?" Shade clicked on the next photo, the Christmas family photo. Jake in a red Christmas sweater. Gloria beside him in a matching sweater. Clara and Jason in front of them. All smiling, all happy, all looking like a family that had been together for years. The room went silent, completely silent, the kind of silence that is louder than any scream. Folek stared at the photo. Her eyes moved slowly from Jake's face to Gloria's face, from Gloria's face to Clara's face, from Clara's face to Jason's face, and then back to Jake's face. Her mouth opened slightly, but no sound came out. Her hands began to tremble. The Bible she had been reading slid off her lap and fell to the floor with a soft thud. But she did not notice. She did not hear it. She did not hear anything. The entire world had gone silent around her. Shade watched her mother's face and felt her own heart breaking all over again. She whispered, "Mama, there is more," and she began clicking through the screenshots one by one. Photo after photo. Jake and Gloria at a restaurant. Jake carrying Jason on his shoulders in the park. Jake at Clara's school event, holding a certificate looking proud. Jake and Gloria on their anniversary, with the caption, "10 years with the love of my life, here is to forever my king." Each photo was a bullet, and each bullet found its target. Folek sat motionless through all of it. She did not cry. She did not scream. She did not move. She just sat there, staring at the screen, her face completely blank, like a woman whose soul had just left her body. And then slowly, very slowly, something changed in her face. It started in her eyes, a flicker, like a flame being lit in complete darkness. And then it spread to her jaw. Her jaw tightened, her teeth clenched, her nostrils flared, and then the tears came. But these were not the gentle tears of a sad woman. These were the tears of a woman on fire. They poured from her eyes like rivers breaking. Through a dam, hot, fast, angry, devastated. Folek let out a sound that Shade had never heard before. It was not a scream. It was not a cry. It was something in between, something primal, something that came from the deepest part of a woman who had just discovered that her entire life was a lie. She grabbed the laptop screen with both hands and stared at the Christmasing photo so closely her tears fell directly onto the keyboard. She whispered his name, Jake, just his name, over and over again. Jake, Jake, Jake. Like she was trying to understand how the man in that photo, the man smiling with another family, was the same man she had been praying for every single night. Shade put her arms around her mother and held her tightly. Folek collapsed into her daughter's arms and sobbed. Deep, heavy, body-shaking sobs that seemed to come from her very bones. She cried for the years she spent waiting. She cried for the nights she spent alone. She cried for the rumors she refused to believe. She cried for the prayers she prayed thinking God had not answered when in truth, God had been trying to show her all along through Mama Tolu and Auntie Bissi and the women at church. She cried for the girl she used to be, the young bride who stood beside Jake on their wedding day and believed with her whole heart that this man would never betray her. That girl was gone now, and in her place was a woman who had been lied to, deceived, and replaced. They sat together on that bed for a long time, mother and daughter, crying together, holding each other, two women bound by blood and broken by the same man. When the tears finally slowed, Folek lifted her head from Shade's shoulder and wiped her face with the back of her hand. Her eyes were swollen and red, but there was something new in them, something that had not been there before. Steel. Hard, cold, unbreakable steel. Folek looked at Shade and said, "Call him." Shade looked at her mother and asked, "Are you sure?" Folek nodded. She said, "I have spent years hearing his lies through a phone speaker. Now I want to see his face when the lies stop working. Call him." Shade opened her phone and dialed Jake's Nigerian number. It rang 3 times. Jake picked up. His voice was warm and casual. "Hey Shade, how are you? I have been trying to reach you. Is everything okay?" Shade said nothing. She simply switched the call to video and pointed the camera at herself and Folek, sitting side by side on the bed. Jake's face appeared on the screen, and the moment he saw both of them sitting together, the moment he saw Folek's swollen red eyes, the moment he saw Shade's hard, unblinking stare, he knew. He did not need to be told. He did not need to hear the words. He could see it written across their faces like a headline in a newspaper. They knew. Jake's smile disappeared. The color drained from his face. His eyes widened. His mouth opened, but nothing came out. For a man who had spent years crafting lies and manufacturing stories and building cover-ups, Jake suddenly had no words. The master of deception was speechless. Forlake spoke first. Her voice was calm, terrifyingly calm, the kind of calm that comes right before a hurricane makes landfall. She said, "Jake, I'm going to ask you one question, and for the first time in our marriage, I want you to tell me the truth. Just one time. Give me the truth. Who is Gloria?" The name hit Jake like a physical blow. He flinched. His eyes darted away from the camera. His hand gripping the phone began to shake. He opened his mouth, and the first thing that came out was, "Forlake, I can explain." Forlake cut him off immediately. She said, "I did not ask you to explain. I asked you who is Gloria. Answer the question." Shade then held up her phone showing the Facebook photos. Jake saw his American life displayed on the screen in front of his Nigerian family, and his entire body went cold. He tried to explain. He tried to lie. He tried to beg, but there was nowhere to run. There was no lie big enough to cover what they already knew. So for the first time in over a decade, Jake told the truth. He said, "Gloria is my wife. In America. We have been married for 10 years. We have 2 children, a girl named Clara and a boy named Jason." The words fell out of his mouth like rocks falling into still water, each one creating a ripple that spread outward, destroying everything it touched. Forlake closed her eyes when she heard the words. Not because she was surprised. She already knew. But hearing it from his mouth, hearing him actually say the words out loud, made it permanent, made it irreversible, made it real in a way that screenshots and photos could not. Shade stared at her father and said, "Daddy, how could you?" Her voice cracked. The fierce, determined young woman who had investigated and gathered evidence suddenly became a little girl again. "Daddy, I prayed for you every night," she said. "Every single night I asked God to bring you home. I defended you when people said you had forgotten about us. I told them my father loves us. He is coming back. He is working for our future. And the whole time you were building a future with someone else. How could you, Daddy? How could you?" Jake broke. The tears he had been holding back for years finally came. He cried on camera, openly, desperately. He tried to explain. He told them about losing his job, about the desperation, about Jade's plan, about the green card. It was never supposed to be real. He told them Forlake was always his true love. He begged them to understand. He begged them to forgive him. Forlake listened to every word, and when he finished, she opened her eyes and looked directly into the camera. She said, "Jake, I gave you my youth. I gave you my love. I gave you my loyalty. I gave you a daughter. I waited for you for over 10 years. I ate alone. I slept alone. I cried alone. I defended your name to everyone who doubted you. I told the world you were a good man. And you sat there in America with another woman in your bed and let me believe I was the only one. You did not just betray me, Jake. You stole my life. You stole years from me that I can never get back." She paused. She took a breath. And then she said the words that Jake feared most. "I'm done. I choose myself. I choose my daughter. I choose my dignity. I choose my peace. You can keep Gloria. You can keep America. You can keep your lies. But you cannot keep me. Not anymore. Not ever again." Shade looked at her father one last time. Her eyes were red and wet but steady. She said, "Daddy, I used to think you were my hero. I used to believe that everything you did was for us. But a hero does not abandon his family. A hero does not replace his daughter. I love you, Daddy. I will always love you. But I do not trust you anymore. And I do not think I ever will again. Goodbye, Daddy." Shade ended the call. The screen went black. And in that small Lagos bedroom, 2 women sat in silence, broken, but free. For the first time in years, they were free from the lie, free from the waiting, free from the hoping and the praying, and the defending of a man who did not deserve their defense. The truth had come, and it had destroyed everything. But it had also liberated them. But the storm was not over yet, because while Forlake and Shade were confronting Jake from Lagos, Gloria was preparing her own confrontation in America. Jake sat alone staring at his dark, silent phone. The Nigerian side of his life had gone dark, but the American side was about to collapse too. Gloria had spent the past week building her case like a prosecutor preparing for trial. She had screenshots of every message from Jake's hidden phone. She had photos of Jake and Forlake's wedding. She had photos of Shade at different ages. She had call logs showing nightly calls to Nigeria. She had bank records showing large transfers of money to a Nigerian bank account. She had organized it all into a neat folder. She had also spoken to a lawyer quietly without Jake knowing. She wanted to know her rights. She wanted to know what would happen to her children. Because Gloria was not going to fall apart the way she did when Clark left her, not this time. That evening before Jake came home, Gloria walked to the children's bedroom. She stood at the doorway looking at Clara and Jason sleeping peacefully. Her face showed fierce maternal protectiveness. They did not know what was about to happen. They did not know that the family they believed in was not what they thought it was. Gloria sat at the dining table and waited for Jake. Her phone and printed evidence laid out before her, the diamond necklace around her neck. She sat straight, composed and ready. She was waiting. Jake walked into the dining room and saw Gloria sitting at the table with papers spread out in front of her. His face showed immediate confusion and a flicker of dread. He sat down across from her. He looked at the papers on the table but could not yet see what they were. Gloria watched him sit with a steady, unreadable expression. Then Gloria reached into her pocket and pulled out her phone. She placed it on the table between them. On the screen was the first screenshot. The message from Jake to the contact saved as F. "My darling, I miss you so much. Tell Shade Daddy loves her." Jake looked at the screen. His face went white. His body went rigid. His eyes locked onto the words and he stopped breathing. Gloria swiped to the next screenshot. The wedding photo of Jake and Folek. She swiped again. The photo of Folek holding baby Shade. She swiped again. The call logs. She swiped again. The bank transfers. She swiped again, and again, and again. Each swipe was a nail in the coffin of their marriage. When she finished, she placed the phone down and folded her hands on the table. She said, "Jake, I know everything. I know about Folaka. I know about Shade. I know about the wedding in Nigeria. I know about the money you have been sending. I know about the hidden phone. I know about the Nigerian SIM card. I know everything. So please do not insult me by trying to lie your way out of this." Jake sat across from her completely destroyed. His shoulders were slumped. His head was slightly bowed. His eyes were red. He looked like a man who had just watched everything he built burn to the ground. Gloria spoke. "You know what hurts the most, Jake? It is not the other woman. It is not the other children. It is not even the years of lies. What hurts the most is that I trusted you. I gave you something I swore. I would never give another man after Clark destroyed me. I gave you my trust. I let you in. I let you past every wall I had built to protect myself. And you used that trust to build a life on top of my pain. You knew what Clark did to me. You knew how broken I was when you met me. And you still did the same thing. No, you did worse. Because Clark just took my money and left. But you took my heart, my trust, my years, my body, my children, and my entire belief in love." Gloria stood up from the table. She stood tall and straight. She unclasped the diamond necklace from her neck. She placed it on the table in front of Jake beside all the evidence. She said, "I do not want your guilt wrapped in gold anymore. I want you to pack a bag tonight and leave this house. You can figure out where to go, but you will not sleep in my bed tonight. You will not sleep under my roof tonight. Clara and Jason deserve better than a father who built their home on a lie. And I deserve better than a husband who married me for a green card and forgot to mention he already had a wife." Jake sat at that table long after Gloria walked away. He sat there staring at the diamond necklace lying on the table. He sat there staring at the screenshot still glowing on Gloria's phone. He looked at both his phones lying side by side, both screens dark. Both worlds collapsed, both families gone. Jake packed a small bag that night. He moved slowly like a man walking through water. Every item he picked up reminded him of the life he was losing. A shirt Gloria had bought him for his birthday. A tie Clara had picked out for Father's Day. A drawing Jason had made that said, "Best daddy in the world." Jake held that drawing in his hands and stared at it until his vision blurred with tears. Best daddy in the world. He was not the best daddy. He was not even a good one. He was a man who had two families and failed them both. Jake left the house that night. He put his bag in his car and sat in the driveway for 20 minutes, staring at the front door of the home he had built with Gloria. The porch light was still on. The windows were dark. Inside that house were two children who would wake up tomorrow morning and find their father gone. Inside that house was a woman who had loved him with everything she had and received lies in return. Jake started the car. He drove slowly down the quiet suburban street. The streetlights cast long shadows across the road. The neighborhood was silent. Everyone was sleeping peacefully in their homes with their families. Everyone except Jake, because Jake no longer had a home. He no longer had a family. He had two families once, and now he had none. The story of Jake does not end with a happy reunion. It does not end with forgiveness and hugs and everyone coming together. It ends the way all stories built on lies must end, in pieces. No calls, no messages. No voices, no laughter, no children running to greet him. No wife calling him to breakfast. Just a man sitting on the edge of a hotel bed staring at nothing. Jake thought he could keep two homes standing on a foundation of lies. He thought he could balance two lives and love, two families, and keep the truth buried forever. But the truth does not stay buried. It rises, it always rises. In Lagos, Folake and Shade sat together in their small home. The morning after the video call, the sun was rising. A new day was beginning. Folake looked different. Her eyes were swollen from crying all night. Her body was tired. But there was something new in her posture. She sat up straighter than she had in years. Her shoulders were back. Her chin was lifted. She was not the woman who waited by the phone anymore. She was not the woman who defended Jake to the market women and the church women. She was Folake. Just Folake, a woman who had survived betrayal and was choosing to live for herself and her daughter. She looked at Shade and said, "We are going to be fine. It will hurt for a while, but we are going to be fine." Shade held her mother's hand and nodded. She believed her. They stood together at the window, looking out at the sunrise over Lagos, battered but unbroken, hurt but hopeful, ready to begin again. And in America, the sun was also rising over Gloria's quiet suburban neighborhood. A parallel new day beginning on the other side of the world. Gloria sat on Clara's bed watching her daughter sleep peacefully. Clara's curly hair was spread across the pillow, her small chest rising and falling peacefully. Jason was in the next room sleeping just as peacefully. They did not know yet. They did not know that their father had left. They did not know that the family they believed in was not what they thought it was. Gloria reached down and gently brushed a curl from Clara's face and whispered, "I will protect you, both of you. No matter what, I promise." She walked to Jason's room and stood at the doorway looking at her sleeping son. The same fierce maternal protectiveness filling her chest. Whatever pain she was carrying, it would not reach these children. Not if she had anything to do with it. Gloria walked to her kitchen and made herself a cup of coffee. She stood at the window and looked out at the morning sun. She was alone, but she was not broken. She had been broken before, and she had rebuilt herself before. She would do it again, this time stronger. And Jake woke up in the hotel room, still wearing his clothes from the night before. He sat up on the edge of the bed and looked around the cold, impersonal room. The reality hit him again. This is not his home. He has no home. He looked at his two phones on the bed, both dark, both silent. No calls, no messages from Folake, no messages from Gloria. No good morning from Shade. No cartoon sounds from Jason, no Clara. Calling Daddy from downstairs, nothing. Jake sat on the edge of that hotel bed and stared at the carpet, wondering how he got here. Wondering how the man who left Lagos full of hope and desperation ended up in a hotel room full of nothing. 3 mornings, 3 separate lives. Folake and Shade beginning again in Lagos, Gloria beginning again in America, and Jake beginning nothing. Because there was nothing left to begin. Folake's eyes, swollen from crying, but filled with fierce, unbreakable strength. The eyes of a woman who chose herself. Gloria's eyes, clear, sharp, resolved. The eyes of a woman who will never be broken twice. Shade's eyes, red from crying, but burning with quiet, fierce determination. The eyes of a young woman who found the truth and chose to face it. Jake's eyes, red, empty, hollow. The eyes of a man who had everything and chose to lose it all. Jake thought he could keep 2 homes standing on a foundation of lies. He thought love could be divided without consequence. He thought the truth could be buried forever. But the house of commotion was never built to last. And now there is nothing left but the rubble of the love he destroyed, the echoes of the promises he broke, and the silence of the life he chose. This is not just Jake's story. This is a story for every man who thinks he can live a double life and get away with it. This is a story for every woman who trusted a man who did not deserve her trust. This is a story for every child who waited for a parent who chose someone else. And this is a reminder that no matter how long you hide the truth, no matter how carefully you build the lie, no matter how many years go by, the house of commotion will always fall. Thank you for watching. Thank you for staying with this story from the very beginning. If this story touched you, if it made you feel something, if it reminded you of someone or something in your own life, please share it. Please leave a comment. Please tell someone about it, because stories like this need to be heard. and the truth always needs to be told.